Today's Rolston Hockey exclusive, we are joined by my once practice teammate, overnight sensation, NHL record holder, who stopped 8 out of his 10 shots playing goal for the Carolina Hurricanes against his hometown team, Dave Ayres. Thanks for coming on, man. How you doing?
Yeah. Good. Thanks for having me. Doing
Where,
well.
whereabouts are you right now?
I'm in just outside of Toronto in Bowmanville.
Okay. How's it? How's everything going up there with the virus?
Just isolating. It's pretty boring. It's
Yeah,
hard to stay in shape when you can't really do anything around the house, right?
exactly. And it's probably when you were going out, maybe getting recognized a little bit more, so a little bit of hibernation going on.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. Everywhere I went, I was getting recognized. Go to the store, go to the restaurant. People are always stopping me, so it's good to hibernate for a bit.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's get started here. A little bit of background about you. Where'd you grow up? How'd you get into hockey and, becoming a goalie, which, for the majority of us wouldn't necessarily pick that path, but you guys did. So, how'd you get started there?
I grew up in Whitby. So I played all my hockey in Whitby. My dad, my brother were both goalies, so kind of fell into it. It was like, here's some hand-me-down gear, kind of get in the net and watch what we do or what we don't do, really. So that was it for me. I never kind of changed. I didn't actually play a game of outplayer until I was, in my late 20s, early 30s. I decided to play out for once, but I've been a goalie my whole life. So I kind of did that and just kind of juggled around a lot of places, and then fell into the Marlies practicing 8 years ago.
Previous to that, when you were growing up, was that a thing back then, having a goalie coach? Or, I know when I was growing up, having skill coaches, really wasn't, a thing back then. So was that something that you were, going through or had access to, or it really wasn't?
No, not really. I got lucky. Like my dad and my brother being goalies, I kind of learned from them. But there was never a specific goalie coach for teams. We never had that, which is one thing I think a lot of goalies, years ago really missed out on. Now, I coach goalies and stuff, and it's crucial to have like the goalie coaches and the skills coaches. And even now, I'm on the ice all the time with the Leafs and Marlies, and they've got all the skills coaches and stuff like that, and the guys really benefit from it. So it's huge in hockey now. I think it's necessary.
For sure. You bring up the Marlies. Take it back to when I met you. I was also playing for the Marlies, and I reached out to Willie Burns, who was our equipment manager there, still is. And, he told me the story that, at the time you were involved with the building operations and the Marlies. I don't know, can't remember the exact circumstances, but either we were on the road, had a couple back-to-backs, or maybe somebody was injured, and, we needed somebody to fill in for a practice. And Will tells a story that there was a staff hockey game that you came out to skate in, and somebody must have been out there, with a little bit of authority, and basically, said he's a solid goalie. Let's have him out for a couple practices when we need him. Is that kind of when it started in the sense of practicing and getting those emergency call-ups and stuff like that?
Yeah, it was kind of that. It was I remember that one. I think that Dallas Eakins was coaching at that time.
Yep.
So I think I believe it was Gord Deneen was assistant.
Yep.
So he was out playing staff hockey, and Derek King, I believe, was also there.
Yep.
So we were playing hockey with them, and Derek King and I had a little game of rebound with a couple other guys at the end, and he was loving the fact that I wasn't letting many goals in. But it kind of started before that. I think probably 2 weeks or so after being hired there, it was the lockout season, and Kadri was on the ice with Fitzy was working with them, Mark Fitzgerald. Yep. So I brought my gear and kind of went out and skated with them and a couple other guys down the road, and it kind of just stuck after that, and that's kind of where it all began for me.
Okay. I messaged Will, and he told me this story. I'm going to read it off here. He said, we were in Rochester a couple years ago, back in 15-16 season. Goalie gets injured in morning skate. Sheldon Keefe goes to me, says, call your boy. He said he thought he was joking when I called him. He said he thought I was pulling his leg. He wouldn't believe me. So we went back and forth for a few minutes, me trying to tell him, get in the car, drive to Rochester. Sure enough, Dubas hears me on the phone. Kyle Dubas grabs his phone and says, can you come back up tonight? So in his words, he says, you must have been driving like it was too fast, too furious. And you got to Rochester faster than he's ever seen. Had your jersey hanging up and everything. Never seen a guy so excited in my life prior to his NHL debut. Best part was he was backing up Bernier, who was sent down for a conditioning stint. Bernier didn't let him have one shot in warmups.
That's pretty true, actually.
Yeah.
Pretty accurate. I just got it was true. They actually sent me from my house to the rink at Rico and said, "Hey, pick up your jersey." So I drive to the rink. I'm like, my jersey's not there. So I was living out in Burlington, so it took me an hour to get into the rink. And sure enough, they're like, "Oh, we have it here." So I basically wasted 2 hours driving around for nothing. So I show up at Rochester 20 minutes before warm up, sign the contract, meet Bernier, and I just asked him what he does for warm up. He's like, I'll let you know when I need you. I think I took about 4 shots. So it was great. I think just the drill at maybe the second last drill, I got a couple shots, and then that little drill at the end, little scrum, I got maybe 2 more shots, and the puck was in, and that was it. It was over.
That's incredible.
Sat there, chewed bubble gum for the rest of the game.
He finished it up saying then that next morning we had a practice for the injured guys, and you were there right away on the ice.
Yeah.
So we weren't missing a beat there.
No, never. I think that's the one thing with me is that anytime I was needed or anytime, it didn't matter, half an hour before, I'd still book it and get there and get on the ice.
Absolutely.
It's always good to be able to shoot with guys like you out there that can just rip the puck, and it's great. It works on my skill and helps you guys out. So it was great.
Absolutely. Now let's get to the exciting time. I believe it was February 22nd, was it?
Yeah.
How so? For some people that may not know, you've been the emergency backup, in years prior, I believe. So it wasn't something necessarily new going to the game, being in the stands, the experience. But quickly walk me through. You see Reimer go down, and you're obviously thinking, all right, time to go throw on the gear. I'm assuming somebody gives you a call or a text, hey, get down here. Are you at all thinking, hey, I might have a shot here? I mean, I might get in, or, what's your thought process during this?
Not that time, because that was the 3rd time this year that I actually had to go get dressed. So
Okay.
I did it again. I did it last year for Chicago. Bernier actually got hurt for Detroit this year at the beginning. So I went in, and Pix was the backup. So I knew both of the guys on Detroit, played with both of them there. Yep. So that was kind of cool. And then Freddie got hurt with a neck injury probably a month before that or so. So then Reimer gets hurt, and I actually text Reed, and I said, oh, looks like Reimer's down. And he kind of said, stay tuned. And then sure enough, I get the text, get down here and put your gear on. And I thought it was just going to be another day sitting there with half your gear on, watching the game on the TV or my cell phone. Yeah. So it was great.
Did you know Reimer and Gardner from the Marley days, or were you not really with them at all?
No, so Reimer was there for a bit when I first started the first year.
Okay.
And I was on the ice with him a couple of times. I met him because I was working at the rink, so I met him a few times as well. I didn't really know him like that well, but I knew him enough. And the same with Gardner. I skated with him when he first came up as a Black Ace through the Marlies program too, right? So okay. I kind of knew both of them. Like I said, not well, but well enough that we kind of knew of each other. So it's kind of cool to be in there with him. And during the second intermission of the game, Reimer sits with me, and he just said to me, relax, man. Like, you know what you're doing. You've been a goalie for so long. You're used to these guys. You're on the ice with them probably 4 or 5 days a week or whatever it is. Just, worry about stopping the puck. Don't worry about everything else, because obviously it's 20,000 screaming fans that get to you, right? It's not the actual play. It's right. That you're not used to. It's the fans that make everything a lot different.
For sure. When you're in there, maybe Rob, you can touch on this a little bit, but as a goalie, I wouldn't know. But what are you thinking? You're in there, you're looking around, you're playing for the Carolina, against the Leafs, and what's your mindset? Are you thinking? I want to make all the saves, obviously. I don't want to get embarrassed out here. I mean, for people that don't know, I mean, you skate with these guys on a regular basis. This isn't something new to you, but you're thrown into a situation that, would be uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yeah, like I said, it's the game part. Like I've been on that ice where everything's been lit up in the whole building, so that doesn't get you. But like I said, the fan gets you. So you get in there and you try and block that out, which is almost impossible because it's rumbling under your feet. People are going crazy because they've never seen anything like that before in Toronto. They never had an emergency goalie go in, so everyone was kind of wondering what's going on, and the place was freaking out. And obviously, me going on the ice, that's my thing. I don't care which team I'm on. You're a goalie, and you don't want to embarrass yourself, so you want to get out there and you want to save all the shots that come your way. Obviously these guys are NHL guys and best players in the world, but it's not as easy as it looks from the stands. But you got to go out there, and first 2 shots go in, and that's when I thought, oh man, what have I got myself into?
Yeah.
But you got to kind of get your pride back and summon all your skills to get you through the rest of it and try and calm down. So I told the guys in the second intermission, I said, I got those jitters out of the way, and I'm gonna be ready to go out in the third. I'll shut the door in the third. And they stepped up for me, and they played awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Rob, you got any questions for him?
Yeah, a couple actually. So you're in the crease, you're staring at the Maple Leafs coming down. Who do you absolutely not want to have the puck? I mean, some of the answers are obvious, but who are you most afraid that's just going to come down and wire one from the tops of the circles and beat you?
You know what? Willie Nylander always scores on me in practice for some reason. That guy's got
that release, man.
Oh, he's got a rocket. And if he hits the net with it, it's hard to stop. So Matthews and I, we did a kind of a promo commercial right before that, and he was shooting low blocker all the time, and that was part of the commercial. So if you saw it, he went low blocker on me twice, and the first one I thought it went off me behind the net, and I kind of had to step back onto it. But the second one I was ready for him. But he's obviously one of the best shooters in the world, and you give him any space, it's going in the net, right? So. But yeah, Willie is probably the guy who, through his Marlies days and even practicing with the Leafs, he's got a release, and you got to watch out for that
one. My other question was going to be, who either in that game or in practice, when they wind up, you just absolutely know it's going to hurt. Like, who's got the heaviest shot on that team?
You know what? This one would surprise you. And I kind of told this story the other day to somebody. So Marty Marincin gets on the ice. We had a radar gun out there, and the puck was in the slot. He steps up. No warm-ups, no nothing, 102 miles an hour. And I was kind of like, everybody was in shock that he could rip it that hard.
Wow.
But he's got a bomb. But, it's not as bad, obviously, from the point. But if he steps to the top of the circle, that's a rip. You're going to feel it. But a guy who's got a hard shot is Jason Spezza. If it hits you, that's going to hurt. Yeah. So he can rip it. But he's usually pretty accurate with it. So
he's usually not hitting you.
Yeah, it's hitting the back of the net for the most part.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, did it by any chance run through your mind, if I was, possibly playing and 2 goalies got, pulled or injured and an emergency comes in, I might have been thinking I'm going to maybe take a run at you too. And, what